It is now 2 o'clock. So this webinar is on groups and teams. My name is Whitney Taylor. I am a senior account manager here at RunSignup. We're going to wait until the very end to do questions, but if you do have questions during this webinar, feel free to send them write them in the question area, and we will address them after I'm done. You can also reach out to me at whitney@runsignup.com and we can chat. So let's get right into this. Why are we here today? Well, we're going to learn all about groups and teams, how to set groups and teams up in the back end of the platform, as well as the pricing structure. We're going to learn what type of group team works best for you, and then the impact that groups and teams could have on your race if you do use them. So we have 3 main categories for groups and teams. Our first category is fundraising teams. This is going to be somebody that is setting up a race and their main goal is to raise money. Maybe it's a race that is specifically around one charity, and it is very cause driven. We can use participants as well as non-participants that can set up their teams. And you can also have multiple charities involved with this, with multiple teams within those charities. So it is a great way to bring awareness, raise a lot of money, and get groups involved. Our second category is corporate teams. Now this is more of a unique situation. Not a ton of people utilize this unless they do have a very large participant group that is based off of companies and organizations. So unless you have more than 25% of your participants within a company registering for these races, then you don't really need to go the corporate team route. Now, what's great about our corporate teams is that we have a really robust invoicing system for this. There's a lot of flexible payment options. However, one of those limitations is that the bulk of the payments will come towards the end of the race. There's also some participant management limitations, and that's due to the fact that we want maybe your HR department or a manager utilizing these teams and really being sure that they are the ones in control of it. Our third category are groups and teams. Now this is the one that's most widely used on our platform, and we use the term groups teams because they are interchangeable, and we want you to be aware that you can customize this to fit your race needs. From social or competitive group types to relay group types such as triathlons or a 2-3 person leg relay race. That's what we're looking for with the groups and team setting. We also have a robust participant management feature where the team captain has the ability to really reach out to their participants and manage their participants on their own, so you guys don't have to do it. And of course, groups and teams encourage community, and that's really big in the endurance space right now. It's just getting groups of people together to move. So which one works best for your race? This you're going to be able to determine once we finish this webinar. For the most of you, groups and teams is going to be that option. If you are interested in learning more about the corporate teams, we do have a webinar that explains everything in detail with corporate teams, and we will link that in the webinar notes for this webinar. If you're interested in fundraising, we also have a lot of blog posts as well as a webinar on some fundraising. But today we're really going to focus on the groups and teams and get into the why as well as the setup. Groups and teams. So the benefits, there are many benefits of using groups and teams and having groups and teams for your race. One of them being viral social media marketing strategy. So groups and teams are central to the philosophy of viral marketing. You want your groups and you want your people to ask more participants to register for these races. The more participants that you have reach out to other people, the more people you will get to run your race. It's an aggressive marketing strategy, and with that, moving into the next point, you have the free and effective way to reach more participants by utilizing some of the tools on the RunSignup platform. So you have your participants that have already bought into your race. they are then going to market to their friends to register for the race. And then you can utilize the tools on RunSignup that we provide for you, such as social sharing, email marketing, swag rewards, and the registration refunds to incentivize and entice your participants to then encourage their friends to join. And last but not least, the socialization piece of it. We all know that it's way better to do an event with a friend than to do it all by yourself. So the better experience that your participants have, the more memories they can make, the more likely they're going to be a repeat participant and get their groups of friends to come with them. And just to back up what I was saying behind the viral marketing, I want to give you some statistics on it as well to really drive home the fact that this does work. Groups and teams are popular and they're growing. So in 2018, of the races that had teams on the RunSignup platform, 28.9% signed up with a team rather than as an individual. And of those teams, the average team group size was 6.39%, which is a decent amount of people if you look at it. And then to continue to drive this home, because RunSignup does have such a great social marketing, they have a ton of great social marketing features. The free marketing through the social sharing of being able to share some marketing tools, from emailing and marketing to your participants to then market to their friends, as well as the registration refunds that we will get to soon and the swag rewards. So now that we've talked about the basics of the group teams and why you shouldn't potentially implement them into your race, we're going to talk about how you set that up in the back end. So the first step of setting up a group team would be group type setup. So this is what you're going to see when you first get into that feature. Now, a group type is just a group of 2 or more people that are participating in the race together. So you could have something such as competitive women, a social group, a relay, this relay potentially for triathlon, or a 2-person relay, which one person will run the first leg, the second person runs the second leg. The second step within this is the advanced settings tab. Now, what I want to drive home with this, we're not going to talk about too much of the details, but this little toggle where the red arrow is pointing, that's where you toggle down your advanced settings features. There's multiple things that you can set up for advanced settings. This is if you want to have an end date for your team joining. Maybe you have a group size restriction, gender restrictions, or age-based restrictions. Step 3, which is the final step, is the overall team settings. So these are things like a team password, which is a specific use case. It's unique. Most teams don't have passwords, and we, for best practices purposes, we don't recommend group passwords because it's just another thing that your team captain or participants are going to have to remember, and it might be some additional work on your end to help them remember what those passwords are. You also have the ability to change administrator, which is our default, to something like team captain, or whatever suits your race's needs. And then another thing that we will drive home, and I'm going to show you an example of what that looks like on the front end, is the required team versus the optional team. So the reason why I feel like this is so important is because for triathlons or a running event that has legs where you need to have multiple people in the race, you want to make sure that you make this required for your registrants to sign up for. So as a triathlon, for example, that's going to be a required setting for that specific event because you need to make sure that you have an additional person to either swim or bike or run. So when we go into it in the front end, you'll see the first option is the optional. So this would be like a 5K, 10K, and they can have groups or they could just run it individually. And it's more so just for a fun thing, or maybe you're going to offer incentives. This is asked on the first page, yes or no. If they select no, they're just going to go through the registration path as a normal registrant. if you are in a triathlon or you're doing some type of relay where you need to require these participants to add additional, to create a team, you'll see at the top that they will not be asked that question, but then on that second page of the registration, they are going to be required to either join a team or create a new team. So now that we've covered the setup process of it, we're going to get into the pricing options. The first one that I'm going to talk through briefly is the multi-person pricing. The main thing you need to know about multi-person pricing is that this requires it to be within the same transaction. So it's the discounts that you're going to provide will all have to be within that same transaction. You'll have to have all 4 family members in the cart, or the entire, your 5, 6 people, however many you set for the parameters in your cart before you check out to receive that discount. Your second pricing option is the member registration fees. This is the most commonly used. So what you'll do through the registration path is when you're in RunSignup, on the third page of the race wizard is where you're going to set up your pricing increments. So you'll have your price point set, and we're going to use the triathlon again for an example. Let's say for your triathlon relay, it's $160 for the triathlon relay. So you'll set that up in the third step of the race wizard. You can then come into the member registration fees area and then create it so that the additional members that join do not have to pay a fee. So you'll see how we have this set up. After member on the first row, let me see if I can bring my mouse over here. So right here on this first row, we have after member number 1 joins, each following member will pay $0. So this is a great way where you can have your team pay up front. That way you're not chasing people for money to create and finish the team. The second way that you could do this is for team incentives. So you set a minimum amount of people before they can get a discount for joining a group, getting a group to join. You'll see the example is after member number 4 joins the group, each following member will pay $25. So members 1 through 4, let's say they paid $30, you're giving a $5 discount once they hit a minimum member number of 5. That is member registration fees. And you may be asking yourself, well, what about the other 4 people that paid $30? How will they get a discount? Well, I have to go in and do it myself. And that's what option number 3 is. Option number 3 provides you the ability to provide refunds to these people. So if they do hit their minimum of 5 members, you can go in here and set up that after their 5th member registers, those 4 registrants will then receive a $5 refund in this case. And I want you guys to pay attention to the highlighted red areas. Those are very important to note and to make sure that they match up when you are setting this pricing up. You'll see here the way that I use to look at this is I go back to option 2 and I make sure that after it says after member number 4 joins the group, that means that following the after registrant number 5. So it's just the next number. So that if you had 4 and 4, your 4th participant would be double dipping and getting additional refunds, and you may not want to do that. So this is a great tool, just an incentive tool for your races. The last option is option number 4. This is a group setup fee. This one is not used as much anymore. It is similar to the membership setup fee where if you have your pricing set up in the step 3 of the race wizard at $160 as the total price, then the additional people get in for $0. Well, this is just creating a setup fee where maybe you have one main price and then your additional members would either pay a small fee, you would set up or you could set up $0 on the race wizard in your pricing area. So that setup fee would be $60 and then the additional members get in for free. Now that we've covered the pricing, we're going to get into the fun stuff of how do we incentivize these groups and teams, and how do we get more participants to join. So some incentive ideas that you can use within RunSignup are the cash rewards. What we just talked about with the membership and the registration refund piece. You can do price breaks, automated refunds. This is shown to increase motivation to join a team by more than 5%. These incentives do work, and marrying those two registration pricing choices together is a great way to do that. You could also maximize value with these participants by offering an award or offering something and encouraging them to get more people out. So instead of it just being all about the fastest runners and the fastest runners, whoever places in the top 3, maybe it's the loudest cheer section, or maybe it is the biggest group, community group that you can get. There are many people, events that I've been to where it's who, like, people will bring their gyms and then they want to bring their book club, any type of group that you can get out and then encourage more people to come. And then another option would be your VIP treatment. We all know that participants love stuff. So if you can incentivize with giving them something extra if they bring more people, it's going to be a win-win for everybody. You can use stuff, you can use swag, maybe something exclusive for your teams. You could order, maybe they get extra beer tickets for the race, porta potties, tents, or a heater if it's a cold one. Anything that's going to intrigue them to join in and ask their friends to come along. And again, to back this up, RunSignup holds a ton of data, and we love data. This is just showing you that incentives do work. You'll see that it's pretty much stayed steady over the years with the amount of people that are registering in groups. And you see once we add an incentive to it, more people join. So incentives do work. All right. That was the end of the presentation, and we are going to open it up for questions if you guys have any.
All right, it looks like we don't have any questions, so we're going to conclude the webinar today. Thank you all. Oh, we might have one.
Hi, Debbie.
Is your incentive data based on cash or other?
Cash.
Can groups choose to be fundraisers as well?
Yes, they can.
Why would it be beneficial not to offer a team option?
It would be beneficial, maybe, let's say if it's just maybe it's a 5K where it's an extremely competitive 5K and you just don't want to deal with the team aspect of it, or you don't want to adhere to what teams are there to, I'm sorry, I'm stumbling on my words. Teams are a great way to bring people together, but it's not for everybody. So if you do have teams, you are going to have to address the fact that you have teams there. So whether that you're just acknowledging them, if that's not something you want to do, then you wouldn't need teams necessarily.
All right, we're getting a lot of questions, guys, and unfortunately we are out of time for today. We have a list of all of your questions and we will reach out with the answers to you. Thank you for your time. Enjoy the rest of your day.